Psychology Radio, where we spend a little time together so you can get an A on the test. I'm Tabula Rasa. I'm going to be taking you through this. This was the Stigma and Mental Illness session that was not a chapter in the book, but a really great PowerPoint put together by our instructor. She starts out with, what is a stigma? Well, it's the judgment of someone because of something they have and treating them different because of it. What's the impact of a stigma? Well, people have fear to share due to stigma. So that's the impact. People are afraid. Can the stigma affect diagnosis? Well, the system labels people and then diagnosis suffers. How can we improve? Well, ask questions and be patient. Let's look at the stereotype vocabulary word. A stereotype is when something is fixed, overly simple, and often erroneous idea about a trait, attitude, and behavior of a group of people. Stereotype assumes that all members of a given group are alike. Prejudice is the evaluation of an entire group of people, typically based on the stereotypes about the group. It's a little bit different from discrimination because discrimination is the behavior or the action targeted at individuals and groups and intended to hold them apart and treat them differently. So prejudice is the belief and discrimination is the behavior. The more you can be aware of your own bias, the better you are and you can change it. Stigma refers to the negative attitudes and beliefs that motivate the general public to fear, reject, avoid, and discriminate against people with mental illness. The effects of a stigma, it affects how others see that person. It affects opportunities available to that person. It affects how that person sees themselves and affects the person's willingness to seek treatment. Not great. Some things to consider. 1 in 5 adults will experience symptoms consistent with a mental illness in their lifetime, and 1 in 10 children experience such symptoms. Moving on to psychological disorders, they are disturbances in thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that must be persistent, distressing to the person experiencing them, and they need to be uncontrollable. They're associated with impaired functioning, and anxiety and depression are the most common. 1 in 5 people have anxiety or depression. Why is there the stigma? Well, historically, we often believed these symptoms were the result of spirits or demons or God's punishment. That's pretty cruel. These people were feared and ridiculed and often punished and treated as criminals. They were sent to asylums. They were shackled and restrained. They were kept out of sight of society. In the 1950s and 1960s, not too long ago, asylums shifted from lockdowns to hospitals and started to treat them instead of just hiding them. One of the movies, Girl Interrupted with Angelina Jolie, is a movie about mental hospitals. So you can check that out if you want to. The medical model, they talked about conceptualizing psychological disorders as diseases that have symptoms, causes, and possible cures. They can diagnose different types of disorders. Psychological disorders aren't easy to treat, though. They are difficult to diagnose and treat. Some of the causes of psychological disorders, well, they're different for everyone. Different individuals can experience the same symptoms for different reasons. A lot of the traditional biological causes with hormones, psychological causes, which are thinking patterns, environmental factors like loneliness, and the last one is combination of factors. So those are some of the medical psychological disorders: biological, psychological, environmental, and the combination of those factors. That's the end of what she talked about on that day. I hope you get an A on the test and have a great day. Bye.